Hello.
This doesn't look like the Lincoln Tunnel, Sam.
Looks to me like a marginally volatile hostage situation, Max.
Ooh, does this mean we get to kick some puffy white mad scientist butt?
Can't think of a reason not to.
You'll be of no use, freelance police. With the flip of a lever, my ungrateful lunch date will be reduced to a half cup of disoriented atomic matter.
I knew he wasn't a real doctor.
Shall I confront, subdue, and pummel the suspected perpetrator, Sam?
Sick him up, little buddy.
Ooh! Ow!
Hey, nice one.
Yikes!
Huh?
He's not a real guy, Sam. Can I keep his head for a souvenir? Why do you suppose it's ticking?
That's no head, Max. It's one damned ugly time bomb. Let's leave this criminal cesspool pronto.
Good idea, Sam. Maybe we can ditch the head somewhere while the credits are running. Mind if I drive?
Not if you don't mind me clawing at the dash and shrieking like a cheerleader.
Sam, is pronto a real word?
Goodbye, Sam and Max. I'll never forget all you've done here today.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Anthony Gamer, an unlicensed authority, and today we're going to be discussing the computer game Sam and Max Hit the Road. Many of you may not be familiar with Sam and Max. They were a media franchise that came out in the late 80s. That's correct. They started off as a comic strips created by Steve Purcell, and the comic strip itself ran for quite a while. They didn't become worldwide famous until 1983, when the game Sam and Max Hit the Road was created by LucasArts. That's correct. And after that, they became a pretty big worldwide phenomenon, in spite of the fact that there is very little media technically out there about them other than the games. In 1997, they had a limited run animated series that was on Fox Saturday morning cartoon lineup. Although, to be honest with you, even though the cartoon series did pull back a little bit on some of the adult jokes and humor, and definitely the violence from the comics, there were some kind of adult jokes in there that would probably go over most kids' heads. Well, yeah, that happens in other cartoons too, like, Animaniacs and, of course, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Yep. And also, don't forget, from the 90s, we also had that Mighty Mouse series that was made by Ralph Bakshi. Also didn't really belong on a Saturday morning cartoon lineup, but again, it has also developed a cult following, much like Sam and Max have. Now let's talk about the characters themselves. Sam is a 6-foot tall Irish wolfhound that wears a fedora and a coat, and is, I guess you would say, the straight man of the group. Yeah, then on the other hand, you have Max, who is like a wild and crazy short rabbit guy that just is pretty much completely out of control. Yeah. Now, they drive pretty much indestructible 1960 DeSoto, and they go on a bunch of missions. They call themselves the Freelance Police, but you could pretty much say they're private investigators, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they go on these wild and crazy adventures that go from places like Washington, D.C., the Philippines, and even up to the moon and beyond. Since the debut of the video game in 1993, this being a point-and-click type game, there have been several that have come since. That's correct. But today we're going to focus on that game that started it all, Sam and Max Hit the Road. So, you ready to start? I'm ready when you are. All right then, so let's get into the game.
The game starts out on a simple day when Sam and Max get a call at their office at this dilapidated building in New York City. And the chief tells them that they have to go to a carnival because something's happened there. You ever actually get to see the chief? No, I've read some of the comics and watched the whole TV series, and you never do. Anyway, so they have to head down there and find out what's going on. One thing we want to point out is the fact that you use a point-and-click system to play this game. It's kind of like the later 80s into the 90s Sierra games where they stopped using the text, as in open door, look through this, look through that, pick up. You use these icons to walk, talk to things, look at things, and you utilize that throughout the game, actually using both characters interchangeably. It reminds me a little bit of, what's that game, Goblins 2? Oh yeah, because Sam is the more calm of the two and does uses persuasion and talking to get things, and Max just usually likes to beat the crap out of things and uses the most aggressive way possible to get the answers. When you finally make it down to the carnival, you'll find out that something terrible has happened, that Giraffe Neck Lady and the Bigfoot have missing, and the show really can't go on without them. Now keep in mind this was the 90s, and there was still remnants of the sideshow back then, as they used to call it the freak show, so just remember the time period. But anyway, so it is up to Sam and Max to locate these two and figure out exactly what the heck is going on at this carnival. Along the way, you meet a variety of interesting characters who go to some cool places and do stuff that you wouldn't probably ordinarily think you would do in a video game, such as steal a restroom key. And you have these really cool mini games that you have to complete in order to progress the storyline. So, can you help Sam and Max solve this little problem at the carnival? And why exactly were these two people kidnapped? Well, it's up to you to find out. So what was your favorite part of the game? Well, my favorite part is where they ride the Gone Tragedy, and then they end up losing all their possessions, and then you have to go fill out a form and stuff at the Lost and Found tent. Crazy. Typical Sam and Max. Sure is. So if you yourself have ever been curious about Sam and Max, you heard about them, but you've never played any of the games, this is the game to start off on.
Ooh, I feel tragically empty.
Me too. It's as though an integral part of my essence has been ripped from my being.
Let's do it again.
Maybe later, chum.
In later episodes, we're going to discuss the other games that came after that. There's even one that's coming out this year in 2021, and I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be a VR game. At least that's what I heard. Oh yeah, of course. And they also have some of the other games that have been remade. Exactly. Even though Steve Purcell hasn't really made any comics for many years, and even the webcomic series itself is done, there are plans coming up in the future. As I just mentioned, of course, there's going to be more games, but they're finally going to branch out and make some toys. I know it's hard to believe that now they're on just about everything else. You can get t-shirts, yep, trading cards, I believe so, and all kinds of other stuff like mouse pads and all that stuff, but they never ever made any action figures or plush figures, right? Which is kind of weird. Oh, it sure is. I think a couple people have made them themselves, but they haven't been commercially released. Right. Now, starting in 2018, there were plans to come out with a series of action figures. And, of course, with the pandemic and other stuff, that has been pushed back. Well, the last I heard, they're supposed to be released in June of this year, and some people are already taking pre-orders. So if you're a Sam and Max fan, check them out.
In our next episode, we're going to feature the third installment of Atari 7800 Homebrews.
Well, that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of Classic Gamer 74. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give us a great big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click that little bell icon down there. And let us know in the comments section below what you thought of today's episode, and if you have any suggestions for some other episodes. We're always happy to hear what you have to say. Also, don't forget to visit me on my other social media platforms. You'll see those in the description below. Also, check out my second channel, Musical Memories. Now, for those of you that have been with my channel for a while, you know that I had a separate section called Musical Memories where I talked about my favorite albums. Well, those videos have all been pulled, and now they're going to be on a separate channel. So check it out and subscribe. You'll find the link in the description below. Well, until next time, I am Anthony Gamer, and I'm Lawson the Thylacine, and we will see you all in the next episode. Until then, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other and be kind to each other, and stop Asian hate. See you guys soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.